We're here in beautiful Lenzerheide, Switzerland to check out two brand new bikes from Scott. These two bikes were co-developed with Nino Schurter, current world champion and current World Cup champion, in anticipation for the Rio Olympic Games later this year. They could be seen as some of the lightest cross-country bikes, so I'm going to give you an overview and check out what's new on them. So first up, let me introduce you to the Scale RC, and that is the hardtail version. It's a full carbon frame, 27.5 or 29-inch wheels available. It's exclusively one-by system, no front derailleurs, and it is one of the lightest cross-country frames in the world at 849 grams. So how do you go about making the lightest bike even lighter? Well, Scott started at the backbone of the bike, and they see that as being the head tube, the bottom bracket area, and the dropouts. By eliminating the front mech, they've managed to completely reconstruct the chainstay, and that's actually made it lighter and also stiffer. So Scott looked at using various different carbon technologies, and they actually brought in what they learned in their road bikes into the mountain bikes and used that HMX carbon fiber layout. They also used a computer program, finite element analysis, to really understand where the structural integrity of the bike was and where they could reduce any weight. One of the specific requirements that Nino Schurter went to with the Scott engineers was that he wanted a lower front end so he could be more efficient when he was climbing, get the weight over the front, and the front wheel wouldn't be lifting up.
For him, a big thing is to get his bars as low as possible. On the 29ers he couldn't do this before, so that's one of the reasons he rode a 650B bike. So we tried to address this with shorter fork heights and also move into a drop-in headset, which means we can get the bar height lower on the 29er.
They've actually got a carbon insert in the frame, the headset drops into it, and that keeps it absolutely slammed. But whilst they were doing this, they actually managed to lose some weight as well. They lost 24 grams here. It doesn't sound much, but everything adds up and every little counts.
Yeah, the first priority was weight, and that obviously helps out with the all-out speed. Once we had that covered, we started to look at other factors that we can add into the bike, because it's no longer good enough to just be lightweight alone. And one of those factors was comfort. We addressed seated comfort, so when you sat down on the bike, and improved this compared to the old model. And we also addressed a new concept, which is stud comfort, so when the rider's descending and stood up on the bike. But at the same time, we didn't want to sacrifice any stiffness whatsoever. We really don't want to have a bike that's going to handle like a wet noodle, so we had to address all these factors and balance them all perfectly, and I think we did a pretty damn good job of it.
So let's have a look at the Spark. That's Scott's full suspension 100mm cross-country racing weapon. It takes a lot of the things that they learned from the Scale and brought it in, and the technology was shared between the engineers who developed the bikes. So it comes in 27.5 or 29 inches, a range of sizes. As I said, it's got 100mm of travel, boost technology, and it too is the lightest full suspension cross-country bike in the world at 1,749 grams. Did Nino come to you with some specific requirements and wants?
Sure, yeah, he came to us with maybe a mix of some very specific requirements and some based more on like riding feel, how he wanted the bike to handle. Of course, his fit is super critical, and we were working with his bike fit from three years ago. We had the data where his bars are exactly to within a millimetre, where his seat is, where he positions his saddle forwards and backwards. So some very specific data and some stuff about like it has to handle better on downhills, so it's up to us how we deliver that for him.
If you've seen the old Spark, then the first thing that you might notice is the fact that the shock isn't mounted onto the top tube, and there's two benefits for that. The first being the fact that it doesn't go through the top tube. All the forces that are dispersed from when the suspension moves through its travel are eliminated and they go onto the down tube. But having it on the down tube, they've actually put a lot of extra material here, which in turn gives you a stiffer bottom bracket, and this will allow the rider also to get better pedal transmission, and the power will go right through the pedals, meaning that they move forward in the most efficient manner. Like the Scale, the Spark is a specific one-by bike, and they managed to save a huge amount of weight by reconstructing that bottom bracket area and also the chainstay. The headset is also integrated into the carbon, and that's also got that low front end which Nino likes. So with the full suspension bike, of course, there's going to be some more prototypes required to get the right kinematics. What was the process that you went through to find these? Did you start with an aluminium frame and then move on to carbon?
Yeah, of course, the carbon moulds are quite a big commitment to open. So we always start with aluminium prototypes, and especially in the case of the Spark, because as you can see, we've made quite a drastic change to the layout of the bike. So we validated that with several prototypes within the 3 years of the project. So an alloy prototype, will be used to test the geometry, validate we're heading in the right direction with the geometry, and we'll often build a bike with some different linkages we can interchange to ride different kinematic setups and check we've got the suspension performance spot on.
Another technology that's shared between the Spark and the Scale is the fact that the rear dropout is actually sandwiched between the seat stay and chain stay and the rear axle. This has actually made a major weight saving of 65 grams. Like I was saying, all those little amounts really add up. And the other benefit is it gives you really precise shifting for 12-speed gears. So there you go, an overview of two super nice, super lightweight Scott bikes. What would you pick, 27.5 or 29 inch? Let me know in the comments down below. If you want to see some more videos on GMBN, why don't you click just there for a pro bike playlist, or you can click here for Nino Schurter versus Mark Beaumont, Can Cross Country Riders Descend. Click on the globe right here to subscribe, and why not check out the shop?